I'm Dr. William Bird. I'm a GP, Chief Executive of Intelligent Health, and proudly Chair of Active Essex, one of the Sport England partnerships. We talk about consultations. I much prefer conversation. These are two human beings. We're talking. We've got a massive privilege to talk to a patient and understand where they are and to help them. So we're having to get that information out and with the patient work through it. So there's this conversational style means that we don't get too rigid. We're not pressuring them. We're not rushing them. We're letting them speak. We're letting them relax. And you can do that in 30 seconds or you can do that in 5 minutes. That's the main thing. The other thing is they're going to be a little bit nervous because you're going to talk about physical activity or nutrition. And these are things that they know they should be doing better and they're not. And therefore they're worried about you judging them. And therefore you say, actually, it doesn't matter. Their body is probably under stress. They've probably got 100 things to do. And this may not be on their list, may not even be in the top 100. So we're trying to get this embedded in them to realize that actually it is quite important, but it may be that it doesn't work straight away. It may be several weeks or months. Very often we don't have very much time. We might even have less than a minute. We're coming to the end of a consultation. The thing what we just say is ask permission. Is it okay just before you go that we can talk about something I think that might really help you? You've given that permission for them to say yes or no. They might say no, in which case that's another time. But if they say yes, you say, do you know about some of the things that can help you? Can I talk about some of these things that can help you? Whether it's nutrition or physical activity, what can they do? What do they know about the physical activity and nutrition? You've just got a few seconds really just to get that basis of it. And then you haven't got time, because we've already now taken up 45 seconds of that 1 minute. You haven't got time to do the rest. But you say, look, would it be okay if you come back next time and we go into this a little bit more? They say, yeah, actually that would be really helpful. Or they might say, do you know, I think I know everything. That's fine, leave it. So we don't have to force anything. Within that minute, you've managed to recognize that there's something that can be talked about, but it's important to you, because otherwise I wouldn't have been mentioning it, and they're going to come back for another time. So we've talked about the 1 minute, but sometimes you do have a bit longer and you have 5 minutes, particularly if you brought them back specifically to talk about their nutrition or their physical activity. But you still have to, again, start with permission. You then talk about the other patients as well who've got similar problems to you, who have found this helpful. And that suddenly gives them reassurance. So this is not being focused purely on that one person, but there are lots of other patients out there who've all found it beneficial. And it gives them a little bit more of an incentive to think, okay, yeah, I'm happy to try this. Now, I think the key bit is they own 80% of the solution. You've got 20%. Sometimes it's even 10% and 90%. Therefore, what do they know already? They might be experts. You never know. They could be an exercise physiologist, or they could be someone who's got no idea at all about physical activity or diet. You ask them at the beginning what they know about something, and then reaffirm it and make sure you summarize it. And you're building up this conversational style. You know, you don't want it to be rigid. You don't want to rush them. And someone always told me that just 5 seconds of silence can sometimes be the equivalent of a minute of a consultation, because it allows the consultation to feel that there's no pressure. But in that 5 seconds, it allows them to really then think and say what they want to say. If you can cope with that, it's really awkward sometimes to do it, but sometimes it's helpful to let them think and not feel rushed. You then move on to some of the ideas that they've got. So what we're really trying to find out is it's hard to be physically active unless there's a purpose. And just on that note, physical activity is a term that most people don't use. They don't say, oh, I'm going to be physically active today. They say, I'm going to go for a walk. Or they say, I need to get up and about and stretch my legs. Or I need to move more. I need to do some sport. We don't use the term physical activity. So just try and use common terms that people would use. Nobody really does physical activity on its own for very long. It gets boring and they stop it. Ask them about their life. Ask them what things they enjoy. Ask them what they're doing. Ask them if they've got children they want to play, or they've got an older relative they want to go for a walk with, or they've got a woodland nearby, or they've got just a garden. Start to explore what's available, and then keep summarizing, keep listening, and make sure that eventually you've done it together. You've moved the agenda forward together. It's not you dictating, it's that patient who's given you the solution. That will take you pretty much to the 5 minutes, and then there may be some other opportunities that are local, which are in the website or on a leaflet or something, and then you can suggest them, and then try and bring them back. Come back in about 3 months or 2 months and see how you're getting on. Now, it's a great luxury if you have more than 5 minutes to talk about nutrition or physical activity or movement, which I like to say. Sometimes you do, and it's important to know how you're going to use that time, particularly if someone's come back specifically to talk about whether it's nutrition or whether it's physical activity. So you've got to then add some more. 2 areas really specifically. One of them is that we can explain a bit more of why nutrition and physical activity helps their body. Patients love to have an explanation, and the reason they like that is because it's making them included in your knowledge, and therefore they feel that we're more of an equal. It's not doctor knows best, do it and off you go. We can also do a bit more of a plan of how they're going to actually change their diet or change their activity by starting to look at the goals and their aims of what they're going to do to really make sure that this is going to enhance their enjoyment of life. That's so important. Most people think physical activity is really a chore, or a healthy diet is a real chore. And that's what we've got now in more than just the 5 minutes. What are the principles kind of underlying all of these? Well, first of all, I think it's a conversation, not a consultation. We're equal. We're 2 human beings having a conversation, communicating. A consultation is a power balance of a slightly higher and lower, where you've got a formula to go through and you're just asking questions. A conversation can sometimes take a different route. We're very terrified of that happening as doctors because we think, oh goodness, if I have a conversation, I'll never finish it and I'll be running over time. Conversations can sometimes take shortcuts and can be much quicker, and that's experience as you build up. That's the second thing. The third thing is actually you start where they are, and what we have to remember is that people are starting in very different places. Let them tell you where they are, where they think they need to be. So you're getting it all from that patient to understand. Before you start talking about it, you really need to understand where they are and where they want to go. And then I think the other thing is sharing information. Don't hold it all, just be open in that information you're sharing. And then at the end of the consultation you've done, or conversation, I should be saying, you should feel actually that went really well, and you know when it's gone well, and that's because you've kept to those principles. You know, you've respected them, you've been empathic, you've listened, you've let them start, you've let them help you through. And the final bit, I would say, is when patients talk about healthy, it's not just an absence of disease. Look up your WHO definition. It's about feeling really good about their life, about enjoying their children or their grandparents or their parents or whoever it is, their friends, their work. They want to have a good life, and therefore what we talk about on physical activity and nutrition has to help them have that really great life.